to E3. We may not have Gordon jump in a bike shop, but this is a very special live edition of G4TV.com's Feedback. It starts right now. Here is another special E3 edition of G4TV.com Feedback. This is a television version of the wildly popular podcast, which can be seen every Wednesday afternoon at G4TV.com/feedback. We discuss games, the latest news, and answer your questions. Quite simply, it's completely awesome. And if you haven't been watching, your life is a little more empty than others. Now, yesterday, we talked press conferences, and today we talk games. We're going to dive into EA's biggest gamble ever. Well, actually, it's LucasArts and BioWare, Star Wars, The Old Republic. Plus, we're going to discuss the ambitious new game that might win over kids and adults alike, Epic Mickey. And then we're going to talk Rage. It's Software's highly anticipated new first-person shooter. Now, we need to introduce this esteemed panel. Esteemed. Here are regulars. Abby Happy. G4TV.com news editor, Patrick Klepek. And of course, the one, the only, Morgan Webb. So let's start with a game that was very big on the show yesterday, and of course can also be seen online, G4TV.com. The Old Republic. We have I'm trying to read from here. I believe Coaster Josh, pretty good, says the Old Republic represents a new approach to online entertainment featuring immersive storytelling and dynamic combat. Morgan, you were up there with the LucasArts guys going through, the game, and you're also a big fan of WoW. Do you see this as a major transition in terms of MMOs?
I wouldn't necessarily give it a major shift in interactive entertainment. What they've really done is made something amazing out of a familiar genre. I mean, when I was playing this game, it's an MMO. Like, if you've played an MMO before, like, you've got your skills bar on the bottom and you're clicking stuff that's going on. I mean, this is not something... And you have your more traditional roles. You have your, basically, you have your tank, and you have your DPS, and you have your healer, and you have basically a mage healer character. So I wouldn't say that it has reinvented a genre, but the fact that it is fully voiced makes an MMO, I think, a lot more palatable to a lot of people and more feeling like an actual game that they understand.
Patrick, obviously Star Wars is probably one of the most powerful licenses out there. Do you think, obviously there was an attempt with Galaxies that did not exactly have that widespread success. Do you think that, with this sort of new reboot, using BioWare and their skill, that this does become a viable contender to World of Warcraft in the business sense?
I think if anyone had the tools set to do that, they do with the Old Republic. So, and we'll be curious, I think, is when we see Blizzard, I mean, they can put off announcing their new game for a long time. When they get around to announcing the new game, that's when you know that they need to transition to something new. So we'll see after the Old Republic comes out. When we start hearing about Blizzard's new game, that's when we know that they're paying attention.
Now, Abby, you're a little more like me. We don't do the MMOs that much. Obviously, there is a great deal of effort on BioWare's part to try to have some of that Mass Effect quality that might intrigue you or I who love their single-player efforts. Do you think that it's making it more alluring for you?
Absolutely. Just knowing that I can choose any one of the classes in the game and then I can play through essentially by myself, or I can join in the fun with everybody, because I feel a little left out sometimes when everybody's, telling their Warcraft stories.
I mean, it's like when Patrick's talking about Lost.
Yeah,
it's like,
and
okay,
I'm
let's
completely
talk
lost.
Top Chef or something.
Right. So, no, I think that's great, and I would love to be able to do something where I have that choice. Mm-hmm. And I want to see more trailers that just blow my mind like that one, too.
I honestly, the company, I believe Blur does those trailers.
They're fantastic.
I just want a full movie of that. That is just heart beating. One of the things they were also talking about is the level of personalization that you can give a character, and I think that in conjunction with the Star Wars universe, because I mean, we all know what the smuggler really represents. We all know what the bounty hunter really represents, and you can kind of have your own awesome Boba Fettish, type.
Fetish.
Look at that! I'm gonna call out to AOTS.
Wow.
Look at me.
I don't know what that is. I want to find out.
Yes.
No, but I mean, that is something that WoW, I mean, that really shows its age with WoW, is that the character customization is, I mean, you've got like 10 faces to choose from. You don't have a lot of choice. Something else that WoW does very poorly is really teach you about the game. So to really get into WoW, you need to do hours and hours of research on these third-party sites because it never tells you about battlegrounds and dungeons and raids and any of these things. You have to learn this on your own. And if this game is able to really teach people that in an organic way, they are going to blow WoW out of the water.
All right, well, let's go from one cultural icon to yet another, but a much different game, and this is Disney Epic Mickey. This is Warren Spector. Here is the man who made his name on games like Ultima Underworld and Deus Ex. We're talking about these deep, sophisticated, very adult RPGs. And I've never seen him as excited as he is to be working with the character of Mickey Mouse. It's also a very interesting take on it. Abby, I don't know how much you got to see of it, but what was your impression initially of Epic Mickey, and then after the Nintendo press conference, had it changed?
Well, I mean, I didn't know anything about it really before they kind of unveiled it at E3. And I was so impressed by when he goes into the Steamboat Willie level and the idea that there's going to be more of those interspersed with the the Disney legacy throughout that is to me fascinating. And the fact that it's adult, I was looking at that and I was saying that's something that is of interest to me because I think that a lot of times we think Disney, we think young, we think
we think
child.
of what they've turned Mickey Mouse into.
Yes.
I mean,
and now we're looking at something that to me I was just fast. I want the platform. I want all of it.
Patrick, one of the things that really does stand out is the risk that they're taking with such a valuable icon to Disney. That this is an existential Mickey Mouse that knows he's made of paint. I mean, what's your take on Disney's risk-taking in this game?
Well, Mickey used to represent a lot of really good video games, but
Yeah.
Mickey hasn't been in a really good video game in a long time.
Castle
so
of Illusion for the Genesis
such a great
was
game.
sweet.
And so I think Disney's in a position where they can kind of take a risk. Mickey isn't that well known to video games. He's known to everyone, but to video gamers, he's kind of a mystery. So I think they can afford to take a chance. And giving it to Warren Spector, he's gone wild with it. It looks amazing.
I think after the reception, they realized it was a good idea to take that chance.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe so. Now, Morgan, obviously, I think you had certain preconcepts coming into it. I'm curious if you had any of your mind changed when you saw the game.
I actually do have a great deal of respect for Warren Spector. I was hoping for something darker, and part of it is that I don't have this affinity or affection for Disney at all, really. So I don't have this affection for the characters. Some of the early images we were seeing were really dark and almost like post-apocalyptic. And I didn't really see that, and that's fine. And this game, I think, is going to be for some people, but I don't think this is going to be enough to kind of turn me down. 'Cause the fact that it's Mickey, they're not going to make it dark enough to keep me interested.
Well, okay, Dark Disney. We're gonna end this break with that. We're gonna take a very, very quick break. There's more feedback on the way coming up. We're gonna discuss Rage, the new IP that's from id Software. It's been a long time, 17 years. Plus, we'll reveal our picks for E3 2010 standouts and what games blew our collective minds. We'll be right back. A special live edition of G4TV.com's feedback. Today we're talking about some of the biggest games at E3. Without a doubt, today one of those standout games that we had on our stage with id Software's Rage.
Well, we had seen it before, and we've been trying to explain to everybody what we had seen. And today it was really amazing, actually, to watch everybody else here see it and react to it. And I think they were all impressed. Maybe realize what we were talking about.
I mean, it's as I said, is that I've always had great admiration for id, but sometimes I felt that the tech led the design and that the two went to the same level. And that, there's so much creativity, the richness of this world. I mean, what was your take?
I mean, the thing is, we all remember Doom 3, which was beautiful, not super fun. You know what I mean? They didn't really focus as much on the fun. They focused a lot on putting a flashlight on, so.
Needed duct tape.
You sure did need duct tape. But this game is amazing. Now, again, if you are watching this at your house on standard definition, you really need to just go get your butt up to your computer and watch it in HD on G4TV.com because that is what's so striking about it. And the rest of the stuff kind of comes secondary, I have to say. The first 5 minutes you're staring at it your jaw is slack, and you can't even believe that they're doing that on an Xbox 360.
Yes, right?
I mean, this is id Tech 5.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have something, was it the Quake 3 engine or the Doom 3 engine we thought was going to be a real competitor to the Unreal Engine, which is so pervasive. Do you think that maybe they're going to get back in the game of having a licensable engine?
I mean, possibly. I mean, it seems even just for them, they want to have their stuff everywhere. So if that happens, it used to be a company that they led, kind of like Epic. They wanted to have a license that was sort of their back end. Now they don't really do that anymore. They just kind of have enough capital. They do whatever they want. So they seem to be doing that. If they can license this, I bet they will. But it doesn't seem like the tech part, the business part, is leading them anymore. And I think that's why we're getting such fantastic design in Rage, because that seems to be leading on Rage.
Now, Abby, when we saw it about a month ago or a month and a half ago,
man, I don't know anymore.
they were talking about how this is a franchise. That while
Yes.
they're showing us this one game here,
They
are not
clearly have
thinking of
plans
just
for
one
more-
game.
yeah.
And the world, given that it's more of an open world, you can see the DLC possibilities into this.
Absolutely. I mean, they could be supporting this game for as long as it takes to make the sequel.
Yeah, that's right. Which, if it's in,
Yeah,
Maybe a
I
few days.
guarantee we'll be.
what do you
seeing
do
one
in
of
10
those.
years from now, kids? I mean, do you think, obviously, Doom and Quake were of another era. Do you
Right.
think that this is going to sort of revitalize the strength of its software for a new generation that may not understand the true significance of those franchises?
That name still means a lot. And the fact that they still have QuakeCon and it's still huge and attracts a huge audience, I mean, the name just means so much to gamers that it's going to last for a long time. They could just ride on that name forever, and
Yeah.
looks like they're bringing us something new, so that's good.
Yes. All right. That's exciting. We're going to take yet another break. But remember, guys, you can catch new episodes of Feedback almost over there. On G4TV.com. It's just like this, only we're in a studio. And I say really naughty things sometimes. Every week I round up GeForce gaming experts for in-depth discussions about the latest headlines, new releases, and the industry's biggest controversies. New episodes of Feedback debut every Wednesday afternoon, only at G4TV.com/feedback. We gotta take another break, like I said. Don't go anywhere, because this panel will reveal their standouts. We'll be right back. Welcome back to a special E3 edition of G4TV.com's Feedback. It's a web show on television that later will be available on the web. The snake slowly eats its tail. I want to look at our Twitter wall for a second. We have Jay Reacher Rap. That's borderline.
Careful with that one.
Yeah.
Say that wrong.
Got through that one. Rage or Bulletstorm. I was hoping for Mass Effect 3 details, but that did not happen. I think he was talking about the things that have made him very excited. I would have loved some Mass
I would have
Effect
loved
3
that too.
details.
Anything.
It's a little early for that, you guys.
Yeah,
Who cares?
Okay, I would have settled for a large chunk of DLC, like not just a single character, but like a big chunk.
Is
I
that
would
all?
have settled.
It just
for.
is a
Well, you
handout
take
right
a
here at
photo.
the booth. So let's talk about some of our personal picks, things that got us, excited. Abby,
Portal.
yours. Portal 2.
Oh, it's
Of course.
amazing.
Okay, what really excites me about Portal, the first one and this one, is the writing in it is just so fantastic. And maybe we'll get another song.
Eric
but
Wolpaw,
Eric Wolpaw.
let's talk- that's
now,
a round
Eric
of applause for
Wolpaw,
Eric
who's the
Wolpaw.
lead writer on it, he also wrote Psychonauts or parts of it. He's and that has to excite you because we all
Absolutely.
love Psychonauts. I'm mostly excited to see the mind-blowing in the demo that we did. I don't know how some of those were done, even though I was playing along in my head because I know how that all works
Right.
with the portals, and I still couldn't even figure some of it out.
Well, they've gotten way better at figuring out these puzzles, and they are going to mess with your
Yeah.
mind.
Oh, I mean, jumping after the cube as you're... I don't know.
They're gonna mess with
Mind-blowing.
us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your mind is melting right now. as you
Kind of.
try to
It was
describe
when I was watching it, and I was trying to figure out exactly how to do it myself. So,
and then the
you know.
cube lands perfectly on the button.
Yeah, because that's what'll happen on my first playthrough. Yeah.
I mean, personally, I thought they were going to reveal that it's actually Prey 2, so I was really I was really surprised to find
Wild
out.
prediction.
Oh, I'll get one email for that one. Patrick, yours is not so much a game as a means of playing new games.
The 3DS. It just really impressed me. And Morgan and I were talking about this before the show, but I feel so bad for parents because the moment a kid sees this, it looks like a future gadget. Like, I mean, they're tricking your
Yeah.
eyes, but the moment a kid sees this, the parent's going to have to chuck the current DS out the window.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
the Nintendogs, the puppy comes out of the screen at
Way
you.
too cute.
It is the adorableness comes out of the screen.
In a kind of terrifying way.
In a little, I mean, whatever. Nintendogs, a little terrifying
Yeah.
in general, but it's pretty impressive.
It's like Skittles in a box. And by that I mean Skittles the tiger that you should never call Skittles because it will
Right.
kill you. The one thing when I was checking it out today, I think a lot of us got a chance to look at it, is, well, first, I didn't know you can switch it from 2D to 3D.
Right.
And so it was on 2D when I first looked at it, and I was like, okay, that's right, I am going blind. I'm myopic, I can't find
So
the 3D.
scrolling up and down.
But I really liked it. I saw it with Star Fox. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it. What I'm still not seeing is altering the gameplay. I can see it enhancing the experience of playing the game. I mean, do you see a way that it's going to sort of like, hold on, you can't play a game any other way but with this?
So one of the demos they showed was Paper Mario, and they didn't have a name for it yet, but essentially when you were walking around, the papercraft look looks really nice on the screen, but then you would hit a block, and then the screen would go backwards, and then you could walk into that part. Now, I mean, you can do that by just exploring, but when you watch the 3D move back, I mean, your mind melts just a tiny bit.
That's a lot of mind melting. Is there anything left for tomorrow with all this mind melting?
Nothing.
Melting.
You do have to be a little bit careful because you do have to look at it head on.
Yeah, you can't look at it from an
You
angle.
turn it a little bit and you're like, go a little cross-eyed.
You gotta have it right
And
all the
you
right
shouldn't
distance.
watch your
Yeah.
friends play because
No,
that
it
does
looks
start to make you
terrible.
feel like headaches and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It definitely
Imagine
is.
people walking down the street with this thing.
Oh, I have a headache just
It's
thinking
so
about it.
dangerous. I thought iPods were bad enough with people walking, pedestrians. Anyway, okay, Morgan,
Yes.
what was yours?
Oh, we already talked about this a little bit. Of course, The Old Republic was a huge standout for me. What really struck me about this game is that Microsoft and Sony they're really trying to convince you that the big stories are motion control and 3D, and how 3D is inevitable, and you're gonna have to buy this TV and wear these glasses, and it's gonna cost you $5,000, but you have to do it because it's the future. Whereas this game, I can't tell. Like, gamers came up to me and they said, I teared up during that trailer, like a little bit. Like I had
that was
tears.
me.
That was you.
Abby cried 3 times.
That was Blair Herter. He watched it about 40 times when he got home that night and teared up as well. I may have teared up a little bit, whatever. But so it seems like a little bit more organic of a story than this manufactured, everybody loves motion control, everyone needs to buy a 3D television.
No, and you know what? It's something that, yes, that's the fantasy world I want to live in. And I don't care if I wear glasses. I don't care if, like, what I need. That's it. That's what the experience of playing video games is about. It's not the apparatus.
Right.
It's that, immersion is a good game, not a 3D game.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we were talking a little bit about this too. Like the 3DS makes you feel like I'm going to buy a 3D TV, and in about 4 years, that technology and that DS is going to be in my house, and
Yeah,
my
big
awesome
screen.
3D TV is.
Here's a question, though. What happens if the Old Republic is in 3D?
But I can play it normal. No, I can play it normal. Like I could conceivably play WoW now in 3D. I mean,
That's
the
true.
NVIDIA has the 3D cards. I personally chose not to go with them because they don't go up to a 30-inch monitor. But I don't feel like my gaming experience is any less for not having
Nope,
a 3D.
I agree with you 100%. Okay, so that leaves me, and I'm picking this one. Obviously, I was a big fan of Rage.
Adam,
but-
what was your game of the
Oh,
show?
thank you for the segue, Abby. High five. Yay. I was very, very impressed with Call of Duty Black Ops. I mean, will it be Game of the Year? I don't know. But one thing I can say is that Treyarch really has been in Infinity Ward shadow for so long. And it really was like, I had a feeling that when they knew this is the time they can get on the stage and they can prove themselves. And wow. I mean, they really, really did. I mean, we saw 2 demos on this stage that showed the variety of the game. The game, I don't know how that engine improved visually, but that engine improved visually. And I think that they're really going to, there's so much more freedom because they can change time periods within the Cold War, change locales, and they've been so saddled with World War II. And there's that point in almost all World War II games, halfway through, you're not really interested to see what happens next because you know what? It's probably France. The buildings are gray and everything's rubble.
Well, and the way shooters have evolved, I mean, we used to be very content to have, just a corridor and not much, graphic integrity. And now you want variety in your shooters. You want them to do something different. You want them to take you to different locales. And I think you're right because now here they've freed themselves up to kind of move about and choose different places and really give us interesting locations.
And it might give them an opportunity to kind of experiment and figure out, for another effort, new ideas about where they can sort of take this series forward. Because at some point, Call of Duty will get long in the tooth. And so I think this is a really good way to try to fix that. Okay, everyone. G4's live coverage of the biggest event in gaming is going to conclude tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're going to have more hands-on demos of the convention's biggest game. Madden 11, Tron Evolution, and trust me, you need to see Tron Evolution. Vanquish, Medal of Honor, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood multiplayer, Dead Rising 2, plus we have exclusive interviews, trailers, and all the latest headlines. Go to G4TV.com, /E3 for full details. Now, I think we have to do this. Thank you to Morgan. Thank you to Patrick. Thank you to Abby for doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Remember, you can see new episodes of Feedback every Wednesday at g4tv.com/feedback. Is this good? Did you enjoy doing this on the TV?
Absolutely, and we have so much more coverage tomorrow
Yeah.
of so many amazing demos. I
Yeah.
mean, people have to see Vanquish. People have to see Assassin's Creed Brotherhood multiplayer. There's no question about that, so people definitely need to
I
check
just
it
want
out.
to point out, if we see more people watching Feedback, you will not have to wear a vest next year. You will earn your sleeve.
More
Patrick.
shark.
More shark. All right. More live E3 coverage in the Los Angeles Convention Center. The day is over.
Good night.
Yes.